Damn it, Yoshi! Why didn't you catch that fucking egg? Wait a minute. I think somebody's at the door. It might be my Porto Mags. Well, this can't be good. Greetings, all you sewage-swilling strip pole dancers. This is Dead Monkey, and welcome to my first movie review. And yes, if you can't tell, I got a haircut. I feel 3% less like a caveman now. God help me. And since I've been wanting to be consistent on this channel with at least one thing, I've decided to start doing monthly movie reviews. Note, I do not take requests, so before you make your comments, know that, because I will not answer. And yes, this video right here is the project that I was talking about at the end of my top 10 best albums 2015 video. And for those who haven't checked that out, feel free to check that out in the description below, or if there's like an annotation, if it's like right there, I don't fucking know. So if you haven't guessed it yet, today I'm reviewing Dead Silence. Please, someone stop me. So you all know James Wan, right? The brilliant mind behind the original Saw movie, the Insidious franchise, The Conjuring, and Furious 7? Well, for those who don't know, I consider him to be one of my favorite modern directors. And while I can't say that all of his work throughout his career is anywhere near perfect, I think he still brought us some great films nonetheless. His first feature film, Saw, despite receiving mixed reception, had a pretty cool concept and some really neat ideas for a low-budget psychological thriller. Even though there were a lot of things that didn't make sense, it sort of played out like a torture porn, and some of the twists were downright ridiculous, I still loved it for what it was, and it managed to kick off a few decent sequels. Emphasis on a few. Seriously, it's like the Saw series is trying to compete with Friday the 13th, A Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, and Leprechaun. Fucking Leprechaun! Oh, and it looks like they're making an 8th Saw movie titled Saw Legacy. Gee, I wonder what they'll make next. Saw Vengeance? Saw Apocalypse? Saw Revelation? On second thought, let's hope it doesn't come to that. But anyway, so while the second Saw movie was in production, James moved on to direct two entirely new films to be released in the same year of 2007, Dead Silence and Death Sentence. One of them being a psychological horror film about ventriloquist dummies, and the other an action drama film about suburban fathers turning gangster. I know, it sounds like your typical Ice Cube movie, but instead, you get bacon.
Kevin Bacon!
And while I have seen Dead Silence more than a few times, I haven't seen Death Sentence since I was in middle school, and from what I remember, it wasn't that bad of a movie. But then again, my analytical thinking skills were about as well developed as a Kodak film marinating in a vat of maple syrup. Though strange enough, both films received horrible reception, both teetering around 20% on Rotten Tomatoes, with Dead Silence only doing a little bit better by 1%, not counting the 1% margin of error. So I guess that kind of leaves a question. How bad are these films? Or are they really that bad at all? Well, I don't know about Death Sentence, which I might have to review another time, but Dead Silence? It can't be that bad, right? I mean, once upon a time, I actually enjoyed it back in high school, though I've always sort of turned my brain off whenever I watched it, and I've never really sat down and thoroughly analyzed it before. But that's exactly why I'm making this video, so without further ado, let us commence the review. After a creepy and admittingly badass 3.5-minute title sequence, the film begins with our main protagonist Jamie, played by Ryan Quanten, being an incompetent plumber when his wife, Lisa, played by Laura Reagan, attempts to seduce him for some Chinese food. And before this turns into Plumbers Don't Wear Ties, a mysterious package is left by the door with no trace of where it came from.
Oh, Jamie. You adopted us a baby.
Baby, honey, have you seen this thing?
Yeah, honey, have you seen this thing? He looks just like your coworker.
His eyes look so real.
I don't know about you, but Lisa's hungry for Chinese.
I think my wife's gone crazy.
Seriously, how are these two not fazed by this thing? Or at least a tiny bit creeped out here? I mean, it looks like Slappy from Goosebumps after a few years of hardcore crack abuse.
Beware the stare of Mary Shaw. She had no children, only dolls. Something scary. Something that...
Oh boy. I think this film's gonna be full of jump scares. So the dummy's jaw drops because brought to you by IKEA, Jamie sets out to attain their Asian takeout confections, and Lisa puts a blanket underneath her shirt because, oh my god, I think she might be preggers. Oh, and she makes small talk with the dummy.
I'll make sure you get 7 minutes in heaven with my old Bart. Deal? Yes, Lisa. God, I'm such a loser.
Because no one else makes awkward conversation with inanimate objects. Hey, that song was actually pretty good. Wait a second. Dead silence. I get it now. 'Cause everything including the rain, the clock, the record player, and the tea kettle are now completely silent. Well, I feel smart for noticing that.
Touch heaven!
Oh god, let's I'm never eating vegan again. Whoa, 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 whoa! It's like the body was coming right at me!
Oh, Lisa!
I'm in here.
Dinner in bed. I get it.
Sorry, bud, but I don't think you're gonna be putting your spring roll in her mooshu tonight.
Lisa, this is not funny.
This is what it looks like when you chew 5 gum. Stimulate your senses.
So because Lisa contracted a case of axe the bitch out of the filmitis, the authorities assume that Jamie committed the murder and they prepare to question him. Jamie is interrogated by appropriately named mustache enthusiast Detective Jim Lipton, played by Donnie Wahlberg, which you might recognize him from a couple of the Saw sequels as Detective Eric Matthews. Like, I know it's not uncommon for directors to work with the same actors, try telling that to Tim Burton and Johnny Depp, but hey, sometimes you gotta work with what you got. Also, we get it. He's a cop. He likes donuts. And I'm pretty sure that's not considered a positive stereotype. Hell, you might as well throw in a troubled past and a drinking problem while you're at it.
Yep. Boy, I'll tell you. If I had $1 for every time some guy gave his wife a rose on the day that he, like that's an alibi.
Oh, how quirky is it that he's shaving his face during an interrogation? He's so cool and laid back. I wonder how he's gonna die later.
In the town where I'm from, a ventriloquist dummy is a bad omen. It's kind of a local legend, and some people believe that the dummy brings death to those around them.
Ha! What a coincidence. Where I come from, when you leave your nutcrackers out for a couple of months after Christmas is over, you're considered kinda lazy. So let me get this straight. If you knew that seeing a ventriloquist dummy on your doorstep would be an omen of death, why didn't you tell your wife that, hey, my people believe that receiving a dummy on your doorstep is like the equivalent of receiving a bag of flaming dog shit on your porch? Except someone dies in the end and it involves more blood and extreme blowjob faces. And if you were so sure about this urban legend, then why did you just leave your wife with the dummy which you knew was probably cursed? I guess the wontons and the potential happy ending afterwards was more important to you, right? So Jamie comes home to discover just how incompetent the police department is as he finds that they left what's possibly some crucial evidence at the crime scene, as in the dummy. He checks the box the dummy came in and finds out that it came from his birth town, Ravens Fair, which kinda sounds like a generic band name for an emo pop punk band from the early 2000s, and he embarks on a journey towards the city in question. He soon discovers that the town is mysteriously desolate and run down, and I'm pretty sure there will be no adequate explanation as to why it is. And soon after, he meets his stepmother, Ella, played by Amber Valletta, and he seems so excited to meet her.
My lord, you must think I'm so rude. We haven't even been introduced. I'm Ella.
I don't know why, but I'm starting to wonder if he was the direct inspiration for Murphy Pendleton from Silent Hill Downpour. Charlie! So Jamie makes his way upstairs to confront his father, Edward, played by Bob Gunton, to catch up and make funeral arrangements where he discovers his father had a stroke a few years ago. And to make for an even more awkward family reunion, Jamie had no prior knowledge to either his father being remarried for the third time, or his father's recent medical issues. Oh, and how often is it that someone at your age can find someone as young as her? I mean, shit, you're no Hugh Hefner, but damn, good job.
I'm sorry about your wife. I hear you've brought her home. I'll call Henry Walker, make the arrangements. As your father, it's the least I can do.
You've done the least you can do my whole life. It's too late for charity now.
Is that why you've come here? To remind me what a bad father I've been to you?
No, but I'm here to remind you that imitating a sheet of sandpaper does not count for good acting. Anyway, so Jamie storms out to discover that his mother's been painted out of all the family portraits and reveals to Ella that apparently he drove all 3 of his ex-wives to suicide. Okay, what the hell? It seems a bit counterproductive to just paint out your exes on your family portraits, whether or not you drove them to suicide. If you can't stand the sight of them, wouldn't it make more sense to just, I don't know, gather them up and burn them in the backyard or something? You think that he would do whatever he could to dispose of anything that would remind him of them, portraits included. And it's not like any of them are modern art masterpieces, let's be real here. I mean, just look at the one that Ella's in. It looks like a cheap painting you would find at your local Goodwill or Walmart. And what the fuck is up with her leg right here? Shit just doesn't look natural. So Jamie goes over to the funeral home to arrange plans for Lisa's funeral, does a quick song and dance number, I wish, and makes his way over to a nearby hotel. Now notice how he looks at a photo of his recently deceased wife and feels so torn up inside that he doesn't even shed a single tear or show any thread of emotion whatsoever. You sure that David Cage didn't direct this? With that said, he becomes so distraught and exhausted that he tries to fall asleep, but the dummy can't keep its eyes off of those tasty buns of his and it gives him a spook, accompanied by what looks like a rejected female version of the devil from The Exorcist giving him sex eyes from across the room. Now, I'll admit that this part is actually kinda creepy, but would it be too much to ask for Jamie to act a little suspicious here? Maybe a little scared? Maybe if his acting wasn't so wooden?
Get it? Wooden!
It then cuts to Lisa's body arriving at the funeral home where Henry, played by Michael Fairman, unzips Lisa's body bag. Damn, I've heard that corpses will twitch and fart sometimes during rigor mortis, but hissing? Is there a snake in there? Is there a little snakey that's poking his little snoot out to play? Oh, and if you couldn't tell, Henry's wife, Marion, played by Joan Hetty, is a tiny bit crazy, and she likes to hide in the cupboard and talk to her crow friend. Old Man McGucket would be proud. So Jamie attends the funeral the next morning and wanders around the forest to be confronted by Marion.
Did you see her? Did you? Did you catch your wife? She's here. No one's safe.
No, Marion, you leave him alone. This is not the time. Come, I'm gonna take you home now. Let's go. Come on.
You must bury the dog.
'Cause all good horror films have to have that one old senile person who spouts cryptic nonsense that'll make sense later on in the film. Well, at least she tells him to bury the dog, 'cause it's clear that he's not smart enough to dispose of it on his own. Anyways, he uncovers the grave of Mary Shaw, sees a nice booty off in the distance. Told you it was a nice booty, you freaking pervs. And he blazes through town, going over the speed limit back to his hotel, where he checks the back of the dummy's neck, because of instincts, I guess, where he discovers the dummy's name is Billy. Wait a second, the dummy's name is Billy? That's the same name as the dummy from the Saw series. Does James Wan really like that name? Billy? Fucking Billy? Billy, is that you? Billy? Wait a second, who the hell are you?
I'm too fucking tired and I have severe bladder issues, thank you very much. I'm looking for my grandson, Billy. He's tall and he's young and he's not very well adjusted. Have you seen him?
No, I haven't. Could you please just tell me who you are, because I'm trying to do a review here.
Didn't you hear me, you whippersnapper? I'm looking for my grandson. It's time for his cod liver oil and bubble bath because he needs to wash behind us. Yeah.
Damn it, I'm not talking about... Would you just get the fuck out of here?
Yeah, okay, sonny. Just don't stay up too late. Drink too many soda pop.
Anyway, so he takes Billy to the cemetery.
I heard he was talking shit. Nope, never mind.
Hey everyone, my name is Mundane Matt. Turn off that pesky ad block.
Giggity.
He returns to his hotel room where he's confronted by Lipton, who is now stalking him, I guess. And he still has that electric shaver. I thought my OCD was bad.
Why did you bury me, Jamie? Is it because I'm evidence in a capital crime? A crime that you are the #1 suspect in?
Strange. If the dummy is supposed to be evidence, then why did you and your team leave it at the scene of the crime? Shady Corner, what do you think?
Consistency!
My thoughts exactly.
There's an old ghost story around here about a woman named Mary Shaw. She was buried with her doll collection. Now the story goes, if you ever see her, make sure you never scream.
Or you end up without a tongue. I guess your wife didn't listen enough.
Holy fish paste, I think he's showing some actual emotion here. Yeah, he's assaulting a cop and the cop is just taking it for some reason. But God bless him, he's trying. Seriously though, it's like his 5 o'clock shadow is permanent or something. Does that come with a scruffy passive-aggressive cop archetype? So in the morning after Lipton takes off without locking the front door, everything is convenient in this movie, isn't it? Jamie walks into the hotel room, steals Billy, and heads over to the funeral home to try and get some answers.
You're not supposed to have that. Where did you get that?
Maybe you can tell me.
It's hers.
Who? Mary Shaw?
We don't say her name around here.
We don't say her name because we have Voldemort syndrome, and for other contrived reasons that'll never be explained because movie. And so Henry explains to Jamie that Mary Shaw was the ventriloquist who lost her voice. She was once a renowned local ventriloquist who was at the top of her game, but one fateful evening she was heckled by this little shit.
See your lips moving?
Who said that?
I did. I can see it. Her lips are moving.
Seriously, fuck this kid. And later in the same week, the kid goes missing and is never found again. Some concerned parents revolt, assumes that she did it, and form an angry mob SpongeBob style, corner her and kill her by cutting out her tongue. And her will stated that she be buried with all of her dolls because they were what she considered her children. Okay, and for whatever reason, she wanted to become a doll herself. Sounds practical and not needlessly time-consuming? And what followed her assassination was a mysterious string of deaths resulting in the victims' tongues being cut out, and the legend goes that she kills those who dare scream at the sight of her, or more specifically, one of her jump scares. So let me get this straight. In essence, this all happened because someone couldn't handle a little criticism, and when that someone tried to silence a critic, an entire community came forth and silenced her. There's a certain someone that vaguely comes to mind, but I just can't put my finger on it. The scene also shows what's probably my favorite part of this entire movie. There's a flashback of when Henry was a child where he goes downstairs to the autopsy room to take a look at Mary Shaw's corpse. Because of morbid curiosity. And as he peers in a bit too close, the coffin tips over and her mutilated cotton-stuffed corpse falls on top of him. And what can easily be thought of as a child's wild imagination, her body comes to life and taunts him before his father comes in and catches him with their body. Also, just a small observation, but how the hell did this kid know not to scream already? Did the quote-unquote town legend already spread before she was put to rest? Or did he not want to wake up daddy while the dirt-faced ghost woman tried to kill him? Cause shit seems bananas here. But anyways, to go off on somewhat of a tangent, despite some of the bland acting and predictable jump scares, I really gotta give my props to the atmosphere and imagery of this film. The cinematography so far is kinda bland, but the tone and overall atmosphere is not too bad for a modern horror film. Please take my words with a grain of salt though. Not to mention you can tell that this kid is genuinely afraid of what he's seeing, and this kid's performance is probably the best performance in the movie. He's not just standing there with his dumbass expression like, "Hey, that dummy sure is acting weird," like a certain main protagonist of this film. And even though this scene could have easily been cut out, its inclusion only brings a little more charm to something that's so far an amalgam of cliches and logistical flaws. So Jamie sets off to the old theater Henry was blabbering about earlier and does a little snooping around. And I gotta admit, I like some of the set designs of this movie, specifically the theater. It's all aesthetic perfection, baby, cause you got your cobwebs, and you got your darkness, and you got your dust and asbestos and broken shit all over the place. It's a good set, bro.
Whoa, this movie ghosts in the mirrors, and she wanted to make the perfect doll. And then we gotta have some jump scare. I think he took a dump in his pants. I don't know who the ghost is, but the screaming makes it spoopy.
So Jamie leaves the theater to go back to his hotel room to change his pants. Henry catches Miriam talking to Billy. He takes him into the autopsy room. Billy lures Henry over to the cellar just so he can take a nice solid look at Henry's firm, wrinkly old ass. And he gets locked in.
Mary, open this door, please. Mary.
Henry?
Well, I hate to inform you, but I think you're fucked.
Oh, hi, dearie. Come give Grammy some kisses.
So it cuts to Jamie arriving at Edward's house to interrogate him to find out how their family is tied to the whole Mary Shaka-fluffle. Edward explains that the same kid who heckled Mary at her last performance was in fact Jamie's uncle, and it was their family and a few others who found and killed Mary. Which means that it's his family and the others involved who are on Mary's shit list. And by now, I'm sorta lost here, and I have a few teeny tiny questions. Why would she take her anger out on the rest of the town when clearly there were a few families that she had a vendetta against? I mean, yeah, it makes some sense that she's going after the other families as well, but does this mean that every family in town was involved? That would explain why the town is so empty, but it's hard to tell. Like, she could have just killed those involved when they were still alive, along with their spouses and children, thus saving her a bunch of time so she wouldn't have to worry about killing their children's potential offspring later down the line. Because it seems like a lot of unnecessary planning for someone who's supposedly immortal and literally has all the time in the universe. And considering she's a supernatural being, why would she even have so many restrictions? If she's so damn powerful, why is it that she can only kill someone if they scream? Is there a force within a force that compels her from just killing the people she has a hate boner for on the spot? Does it require the presence of one of her dolls to channel her energy and manifest herself? Or is it all just a convenient gimmick? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a convenient gimmick. But I digress. So as Jamie is about to leave, surprise, surprise, Pubeface comes in on the scene. And apparently all 100 of Mary's dolls have been dug up from their graves. And guess who's the prime suspect? Psst, I'll give you a hint. It rhymes with Amy. And so he puts him under arrest for stealing evidence. And just in the nick of time, Jamie gets a phone call.
Who is this?
It's me.
Henry?
I do it.
Henry, I can't hear you. You're breaking up.
So ghosts can imitate the people they've killed and can make phone calls. There's a Ghostbusters reference somewhere here. And wait, Mary was able to take Henry's voice earlier, but she somehow mimicked Marion's voice to lure Henry. Ugh, damn it, movie. Why can't you make sense?
This moment has been brought to you by First World Problems. Suck it up and deal with it!
So Jamie heads towards the theater once again to meet up with... do I have to explain it? And makes it over with the only boat by the dock. And soon after, Fuzz Nugget shows up and takes out a shotgun from his trunk? Jeez, you're a detective, not Ash Williams! And so he makes his way to the dock to find... another boat that wasn't even there before, and he continues his chase after Jamie. He eventually catches up to him, and they're lured into another room by the soothing sound of Henry's voice, who, if he really was there, he probably would have straight up shown himself by now. I mean, he wouldn't have a reason to keep himself hiding. Oh yeah, that's right, he's dead. And upon further investigation, they find all the missing dolls, all neatly put back into their cases, except one of them is still missing. Oh, and look what else they find.
Hello, Trina. You shouldn't be here. It's past your bedtime.
Okay, I'm done with the Goosebumps references. But seriously, they managed to find Michael, who is now a puppet, who was looking pretty damn spiffy and semi-well preserved for a 75-year-old corpse. Which his obvious discovery is kinda surprising considering how easily the townspeople could have found him back when they killed Mary, since it was in the same fucking building. You'd think they would have done a little extra investigating back then. But I guess they were stupid. Boo! Jump scare! And then all the dummies slowly crack their heads towards the right, because too spoopy. So I once heard from a great philosopher that clowns hate tangelos. And since I have no tangelos with me, this kiwi will have to suffice. And if you don't know by now, clowns are evil. And one day, they will destroy us all! Destroy us all! Destroy us all! Destroy us all! Oh, and Billy from Saw makes a quick cameo. I guess this is a Billyception, right?
So hard to construct the perfect doll. Sometimes you have to use existing parts. I love you.
Whoa, was your local craft warehouse closed or something?
Why, Lisa? Why'd you take her from me?
Come closer, and I'll tell you.
Seriously, man, don't do it.
Come closer, I'll whisper it to you.
You're wasting your time, dude. Seriously, man, it's not gonna end well. You want some of this? You know, kiwis are a great source of vitamin C and fiber.
Yummy! Ooh, this is what it looks like when I'm eating out your asshole like a grapefruit, dearie.
So Pedostash shoots the ghost of Mary Shaw because it's practical to waste your ammunition on an immortal supernatural being, and starts possessing her children because more spiritual limitations and the budget called for some shitty CGI. Then Lipton goes straight up Rambo on all the dolls because life is a video game and all guns have unlimited ammunition. And the end result is Jamie setting the doll case on fire with his lantern. Mary takes a ride on a conveyor belt. Lipton gets killed on the catwalk, not because he fell from the catwalk and snapped his neck, but because he screamed. Oh, and he died with the electric razor on. Couldn't have seen that coming from a mile away. And then Jamie falls into the water, manages to escape the theater because Mary either really likes him for some reason, or she really wants the movie to make it to the standard 90-minute mark of running time. He realizes that the only doll left is Billy, which if all the dolls were to be destroyed, it's assumed that it'll somehow put her spirit to rest. And he heads back up to the funeral home to attain Billy, and he discovers Mary and Green grieving over the death of her husband. She tells him that his father came in and took the doll earlier, where he was apparently out of his wheelchair, which of course means that he has some splaining to do. And so he shows up at his daddy's house and coincidentally wanders into the same room that Billy's in. Because timing. Boo! Jump scare! Jamie tosses Billy in the fire. Mary yellows and mellows. Bada bing, bada boom. The bitch is kaputski.
Fix his wheelchair.
Damn, it looks like you really are the last Ashen right now. What? Well, shit. I didn't see that coming. What? So, Daddy's been the puppet this whole time? What? And he's the dummy right now. Oh, gross. The soup in his nasty dog. Gross. No. Dwight James Wan with the M. Night Shyamalan. What the fuck's going on?
Who's the dummy?
I'll have what he's having. So that was Dead Silence, and what do I think of it? Well, it was stupid, it was convoluted, it'll never be as good as this Kiwi, but somehow I kinda liked it. Honestly, I can see why this movie received a critical panning. There's a distinct lack of logic and reason, and it relies on jump scares more than it should. I should hate this film like most people do, but I don't know. There's something about its atmosphere and aesthetic that I kind of enjoy. Despite its many flaws, it has this creepy look and vibe that I can dig. And there were a few moments that genuinely disturbed me. And some of the set designs are pretty damn good looking in the second half of the film too. I mean, I'm not one who normally prefers style over substance, but it has the look of a decent horror film. Emphasis on decent. It just needed more attention to the writing, more concrete direction for the performers, and overall more polish. And seeing that James was working on this and Death Sentence within the same time span, I think this was a great learning curve for him. Also, I can understand why he and co-writer Leigh Whannell, however you pronounce his last name, hated how this movie turned out. But again, James managed to take it as a learning experience and showed what he learned with Insidious and The Conjuring, which both hold clear improvements. While Dead Silence may be a very flawed film, I still would recommend you check it out at least once. If you can look past some of its obvious flaws, you might get a kick out of it. So that was my review of Dead Silence. What do you guys think of the movie? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you have any favorite parts? Are there parts that you just loathe? Do you hate the movie entirely? Feel free to leave your comments below. I look forward to hearing what you have to say. And for those of you who like this video, feel free to like, share, subscribe, and do all that good stuff. So with that said, this is Dead Monkey signing out. Take it easy and have a good one.